Hey there, I'm Twy and welcome back to my channel. Last time I made a video, I was pretty sick and I've recovered a lot ever since. My voice might still sound a bit off at times, but yeah, I'm good to record this now. After I made that video, I think the same day is when I wrote this new poem. Today's kind of like a double feature because I wrote another poem the day after this one. They are fairly tied to the same state of mind, similar themes. Um, so yeah, hope you've been well, and let's get into the reading. Not sure if I'm gonna do like full readings, but I am gonna talk about my process and discuss lines that I feel had impact on a personal level. So yeah, here we go. So the unfinished chapter is basically that feeling that you get when you know your story with someone is kind of coming to a close, and you know how you could define life or your life as one book. You know, we could all just say that we could all just be a book in a library. You could say, why not more books? But you know, quality over quantity here. And yeah, each person in your life, whether you've met them before and you no longer speak, whether people are still around, you have a chapter for all of them. Some of them you're still writing, and you know, you could consider that at the end of your life or theirs, you could consider that chapter finished, is what I believe. This is my philosophy behind this poem. And when somebody leaves your life or they remove you from their life, now I consider that an unfinished chapter with somebody. Our chapter just didn't get finished. And yeah, it all just inspired this feeling of I wish we could have written a different ending for us. I wish we could have had a proper ending to our story, because this all just feels like, yeah, you learned some lessons and they stick with you, sure, but all those memories you've had with this person, all the things you said you do together in the future, all these plans that you've made for the future together, it's all just it just feels like an unfinished story, like an unfinished chapter. So yeah, um, this poem is about that kind of closure that you just need to accept that something is over. I think I wrote this before I ended my friendship with a formerly good friend, and yeah, this was kind of like me sorting out my final thoughts because I just wasn't sure. Am I gonna, like, I know that it's pretty much over, but do I need, um, this person to tell me this? Like, if I know it's over, do I need to know? Like, you just know it. Like, you're the writer, and sometimes you just feel like it's kind of like how you run out of ideas for a story, like that, and you just, boom, you leave it there unfinished. And whether you return it to it or not in the future, who knows? Could just be there forever. But for example, I have this line here. I stuck by the script that we made together, but you changed like the kind of weather forecasted by somebody's first day on the job. Acted like we were a mistake, like a wound that you cleaned with a mere swab. And then we have, instead of chosen friends, you chose for us to stand on different ends. On this chapter that never got a proper ending, left me out to dry like a text stuck on pending. And yeah, this is, you know, the script thing is about how you feel with somebody, like how you both know where you stand with each other. The way that we both considered one another really good friends, or at least that was what I believed the script to be for us. But then I find out that he's actually a completely different person than what I knew him to be. Like, he functioned very differently from the version of him that I knew. It just felt like I wish I could have known sooner, like the same the same feeling you get where there's just sudden rain coming out of nowhere. Like, it almost feels like they got the forecast wrong on TV. Like, if you turn on the TV in the morning, and uh maybe it's in like older times, but you know how you'd turn on the TV, or your parents would, or if you were living with other people, the TV was on, and there was this weather person, and they're saying it's gonna be sunny all the way through during the day, but then, wow, the all this rain and like all this stuff, just this storm just hits you out of nowhere without any warning. Kind of felt like that to me. I wish I would have been better prepared for something like this. I wish I would have known sooner that it was gonna rain like this. I'm not afraid of rain, but I do like to be uh, well prepared for weather conditions, because I do love diversity when it comes to weather. I support all kinds of weather changes. I think this is just how the world functions, but you can't be unprepared for these things. Humans adapt, but you sometimes just need a, the tools for the job, like a heads up. So it just felt like this was all just sprung up on me, and there was just nothing I could do about it, and I felt like I was put in this situation where, yeah, you just had to suffer through it. There was no other way around. And yeah, there's another interesting line here. I got feedback on this from an acquaintance. They really enjoyed it. It's this one, this stanza. Wintertime always charmed me the most. As time draws close to that time of the year that we all make empty wishes, kind of how you rush to eat good food but never to do the dishes. This here pretty much references around this time of the year, like the New Year's coming up, and we're all just, or like Christmas, we make Christmas wishes for like all these things that we want, and we make New Year resolutions for things that we want to have in our lives, or like changes we want to make in our lives next year. And a lot of the time we just make these wishes, we just do, but we never really do any work to actualize them. We never really follow up on them. We never really manifest the thing. We never really bring it into reality. And it kind of feels like that a lot of people are just gonna give you these empty words, these empty promises that next year they're just gonna be this and that, and they're gonna be so much better, and you don't have to worry about it because next year will be their year. Yeah, next time will always be better, they say, and they're gonna do better, but they don't always do better. Sometimes they're just telling themselves that to just not feel uncomfortable with them, to not sit with that feeling that really challenges you to actually change. They don't want that feeling. We all just enjoy having good things, eating good food, but we don't enjoy doing the labor as much as we enjoy reaping the benefits. A lot of us just want to partake rather than actually create something. They're more interested in consumption rather than the entire process. The process that makes the act of consumption fulfilling in the first place. It's a whole different feeling when you're the one who makes all the good food, you've made it, and then you also clean up after yourself. It gives you this sense of competence, of discipline, of fulfillment that you just don't get when you just order food online. Like you just order food and it arrives to your house and it's delicious, and maybe you don't even have to do the dishes. You don't have to cook, you don't have to do the dishes, but it just feels way different when you're the person who made all that food and you've also cleaned up after yourself. It just feels way different. But yeah, this was the unfinished chapter. I didn't talk about all the stanzas and like all the lines. I didn't recite all of them, but I hope you've read them, and I hope you found something insightful within them. All right, let's move on to our next poem, which is called Fought, Believed, and Loved. And this one, I guess I'm just gonna recite it. It's not a long poem at all. Not that the other one was either, but here we go. There's nothing that burns and stings more than a knife in your back. Speaks of all the courage that you lack. You wanna call me crazy so bad? When you're the ones who made me like that. To trust and to care again. Go and drape that heart in chain. Understanding was the broken bottle that I twisted in my wound, in a house with no painkillers to be found. Call me weird for caring, it really was my fault for daring. Sirens went out, blaring, come throw me in the slammer, with all of them waiting at the station, breaking out in clamor. Go get the sinner, the one whose heart was earnest, the beginner. In this endless game of climbing over corpses, it states the cause of death, the report does, fought, believed, and loved. And yeah, this poem, I wrote this after I ended my friendship with this person. I don't know, I think I've spoken about things like these before. I mean, I definitely have on my channel. Friendships and conflict and friendship endings. Um, I've had a lot of experiences like this. They're a big part of my life. I know maybe it makes me sound like a problematic person, but I am the kind of person that if I fight for something, might as well mean something. Because if it never really meant anything, I'm not gonna keep fighting for a lost cause. I'm just gonna keep fighting for what I do believe in. That's the kind of person I am. And you know, like I tell people about these things. Like when people matter to me, um, I'm telling them, hey, we're on the same team. Let's make this work. Cause you know we've both talked about how important this is for us. Don't you wanna fight for this thing that we have together? But sometimes people just come out and they say things like, oh, like when in this conversation with this friend, I think it was one former friend, was the thing that I encountered was this feeling where he said that he um, wouldn't have brought this up, that he wouldn't have done things, he wouldn't have communicated things the way that I did. I'm not gonna get into the way that I did it. I mean, I pretty much wrote him a letter and stuff like that. And he told me that he was very upset to wake up with that letter that I wrote him. He had a very disorderly lifestyle. So I'm literally doing this midday. I'm writing this letter and I'm sending it to him. And he wakes up basically like he goes to sleep in the morning, actual morning, yes, in his time zone, and he wakes up in the middle of the day. And before you ask, no, he doesn't work night shift. And yeah, I'm not gonna comment further on that, but it's not the kind of situation where I was aware of certain boundaries or whatever that he had, because if I was, I would have respected them 100%. But yeah, he was very inconvenienced to receive this letter from me. in which I told them just how much our friendship meant to me, and uh, reminded him that he indicated that he felt the same way and that I expected him to actually back all that talk up, like all those feelings that he expressed. I expected him to act upon them accordingly. And yeah, um, that didn't sit right with him. The point is, even when you do things in good faith and like you actually communicate with people and you tell them these things that they're really hard to hear, but you do it because you care about them, other people will still find a way to call you stuff like over dramatic and problematic and crazy and all that stuff. Like people just, they love to call you crazy when they don't understand you and when they don't even want to try to understand you. For people, it's probably easier to call somebody crazy than to actually try to understand them. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened this year with a whole bunch of my friendships. I was telling people, like I had this epiphany. Uh, it was kind of brewing at the end of last year, 2024. And around the beginning of this year, this epiphany was, like actually becoming a real thing into my life. Like it was this realization where, yeah, I realized I wanted my life to look a different way. I had these life plans, like I decided, I wanted more meaningful connections with people. And, I'm just gonna say this. Uh, Trigger warning for those that, don't do well with talks about death and such. But my father, that I was no contact with for almost, I don't know, I don't know, not almost, but like well over half a year I was no contact with him. Um, he was found dead in his home back in February. Um, yeah, he was found dead in his home. Like he still had, on his side of the family, he still had people that they cared about him. And yeah, they found him then his home. But I just don't believe that he really did have the support system that he required. I just don't really think he had that, because his side of the family, um, they were they were even allegedly making fun of him and his issues that he had. And yeah, they were also enabling his toxic and destructive tendencies. And I just don't really believe that he had these meaningful connections in his life where he had actual sources of support and genuine appreciation and people who uplifted him. I just don't think he had these things. Like, actual friendships of his age, actual people in his circle, people that they uplift one another, they hold each other accountable, people that are just real with one another, that aren't turned off by genuine, real human experiences. And I just came to realize, like, uh, my relationship with him aside, because that's not what's important. Like, I moved on from my relationship with him. That was why I was no contact. But it kind of was like an insightful case of why you need like an actual strong support system in your life. And for me, that's what friendship is supposed to be, because I've never been uh, much of a family person due to circumstances. But yeah, I came to believe even more that I wanted this kind of life where I could just have people that I could really count on, like in any, I don't know, situation. Like if I wanted to be real with them one moment, like, yeah, we're having fun and everything is great and we're doing these things that we enjoy doing together. But if I need to have a genuine human moment with you, I want to be able to have that with you. And I want it to be closer to the people that I loved in my life. I told them, hey, I genuinely want us to be closer. Because it's fun when we're hanging out just for the laughs and stuff, but I want you to really let me into your life. I want that. I want to be there for you. Because you never know what someone's going through, and I want to know when my friends are going through a rough time. And I also want to be able to count on my friends when I'm going through a rough time. And I really don't think that it's such a big deal to ask of the company that you keep, because that's what this is supposed to be all about, being human, living in a society. We just banded up together to uh, make life easier, to increase the quality of life, to face adversity and struggle together. That's what being human is supposed to be about. But yeah, um, I've had a lot of I used to talk to a lot of people, and I had a lot of people that I considered friends. But yeah, this year I had to do, I had to have a lot of real, honest, raw conversations that ended up in me having to downsize, because not everybody wanted that kind of life with me. They had other priorities, and I just don't judge them. But for a while I was led to believe that, okay, we do want the same thing, but it was just words. Like, it didn't show up in their actions. And I've had multiple hard conversations with some of these people that told me they were on my side when their actions didn't reflect that. And yeah, after several tries, they finally came clean, and they told me that in reality they just didn't want it. It wasn't something that they were looking for in their life, and that they had different definitions of what friendship is like and what role it serves in their life. And I would have genuinely loved to know this sooner before you told me that, hey, we're on the same side and we want the same things. I would have loved for them to not just say empty words and to actually do some introspective work and really, dig deep and realize what they're actually looking for in life. Because I don't want yes people around me. I don't want people that always just roll with whatever I say. They tell me that it's fine and that it's great the way that I'm thinking about things, about this and that, and maybe they're even like upset with me for saying something or demanding something out of them. But I'm never gonna know unless they tell me that themselves, because I'm not a mind reader. I don't come with mind reading capabilities, unfortunately. So I do expect genuine communication from the people that I keep close. But yeah, at the end of it all, with some of these relationships that ended, I ended up being painted as, I don't know, a crazy person who just wanted too much. And I also just felt betrayed by the fact that these people, they thought in this way about me. Deep down, they believed that I was just some crazy person or whatever. And that I was being, that I was treating them in an unreasonable manner. And they didn't vocalize that. They didn't tell me that. And once you say something, like me personally, my word is my bond. And if I change my mind about something, I communicate it with all the parties involved as soon as possible. Because we're all allowed to change our minds and we're all allowed to seek different things in life. That's completely okay. But if I'm telling you I'm on your side and during your hour of need, I come out and say, hey, you know what? You're actually pretty crazy and I no longer want to do this with you. And it's up to you what you want to do that. Like, I've literally had people tell me, like, they don't even end it with me. They didn't even, like, end it with me themselves. They just told me, oh, this is just how I think. I think after me actually being at my, how do you call this? I was basically at my boiling point with this after multiple conversations with some of these people. They, like, yes, I appreciate your honesty, finally. Like, I'm glad it's finally ending this back and forth. And I can take criticism. But I think I do believe that our relationship would have looked different if I actually did have people coming out with actual honesty when I did first talk about these things, and they told me, you know what, I actually do have different priorities in life, so I don't really think I can be part of your inner circle, and I mean no disrespect. And I would have been like, yeah, okay, you know what, that's fair. You're still pretty cool, pretty chill, and yeah, we can still keep doing what we're doing, like, as per usual. Like, I was looking for actual people that I was gonna have in my inner circle to actually keep close, to actually have that kind of bond with them. And yeah, you're allowed to change your mind and walk back on the things you said if you feel like don't they no longer serve you. Like if they don't serve you anymore, fine, change your mind. You're allowed to make your own choices, and you're allowed to change your mind, even if it sometimes inconveniences other people. You have the ability to choose your own fate, to choose your own destiny, free to make your own choices. But the way you go about this, it just hurts people sometimes. Like it really just does. When there's other people involved, when you're making a decision that, you say one thing and you just never feel in the other person as your mind is changing. I personally don't really believe that's an honorable thing to do. You might say, oh, I can do whatever that I want because I don't owe anybody anything. I don't agree with that personally, with that mentality. The whole, what do you call it? Yeah, just the whole, I don't owe anybody anything. Like, it's just, we all live in a community. Like, we all live in communities, in different communities. What we owe to each other is this basic minimal level of respect, of actual communication. Because I can't control you. I can't force you to do things that you don't want to do. But when you live amongst other people, you're not just some autonomous creature that just has this mental checklist in their head, like, oh, I need to eat, drink water, do this thing, do that thing, and boom, that's my day, and nobody else should care about me other than that. No, that's not how society actually works. We're actually all interconnected on deeper levels than we think. So that's not how it works. We actually owe each other everything. Our environment shapes who we are. We all grew up in this. We all grew up in this civilization. We owe it to this civilization to make it a better place than we found it. And this is not how we do things. This is like, it's a democracy in a way. Not to get political, but freedom of choice for everybody. I give you the information and you get to choose as well. I'm allowed to also be informed, to also have the privilege of information. So if somebody in my life feels like they can no longer support me, have courage, have faith, and just tell me. This is what we owe to each other. We owe each other a baseline of honesty and respect when it comes to these things. I have no ability to force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. It's all just what we do for each other. We respect each other in this way. And then we just go on about our lives. We go on and we try to continue living, and we find other things to strive for. We try to continue making this world a better place. That's all. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Quite literally, I think it's way less dramatic when people just come out and say the thing. They just finally say it. They say, oh, I don't support you in that and I'm gonna leave. Where's the drama in that? You're just over. There's nothing left. What's the drama? It's a finished chapter. That's just how it is. The drama is when people just really let things simmer, you know? They just really let them simmer. And then when you open the lid, it all just blasts in your face, yeah. Because you've been letting it build up. The truth has a way to come out. It just does. It always finds a way to come out. So I personally believe that the easy way out is always gonna be honesty. Because the things you never speak about, yeah, they just come back to haunt you. 100% they do. They're gonna find little crevices of your life where they can hide in. Might not be very obvious to you, but they really do. That does actually happen. So yeah, my advice, if you really want to take anything out of all this, honesty is free. Honesty and sincerity, they don't have to be brutal. You know, the brutally honest thing that we've all heard about. Honesty and brutality, they just don't really match up with one another, because I don't know, I haven't really checked the dictionary on this, but I do believe that honesty and sincerity, they don't really include cruelty in them. They don't have cruelty as a component. They don't have brutality as a component. It doesn't have to be that way. The truth, it's just the truth. It doesn't have to be packaged neatly. It doesn't need a pink pretty bow. It just needs to be treated the way that it is. Because if you box away the truth in a dusty old place, might just rot out, might catch some mold, and it might be way harder to present. And who really likes opening a box that's rotted away and that's got all moldy stuff in it? Who wants to open a box like that? You know what, I'd much rather just receive a plain but presentable enough box. It doesn't have to be anything magical. I'd just rather get my box on time, because that's what it is. All this scheduling, there's no good time, there's no better time, there's no ideal time to have an honest conversation with someone. It just needs to be something that is done in the present. Because what did I say? Nobody likes opening a box that's rotted and molded away. Nobody likes that. Believe me when I say that. A plain box, it's a lot easier to handle. Maybe you need to carry it around with you for a while until you can finally set it down. But a rotten box, that stuff smells. Oh, and it smells and it smells. And it causes you a lot of trouble in your daily life. Like if you went around just walking around with a molded and rotted box. What do you think that would do to someone in their daily life? How do you think that would impact their daily life and their relationships with other people, their lifestyle? I want you to think about that the next time you think about leaving things unsaid with someone. The next time you leave things unsaid with someone, after just, putting so much in that box and making so many promises, I really want you to think about that and what it would do to the other person if you're keeping the truth away from them. The box and how it's gonna rot and mold away. I want you to think about that impact that it's gonna have on everybody involved. Because that's the minimum of respect that we owe to each other. That's what I believe. It's what I fought for, it's what I believed for, and it's what I loved. Yeah. Doesn't have to be dramatic, it really doesn't. I think it's the easy way out. Because if we lived life believing that we never owed anybody anything, when it really, when push comes to shove, and when you're in your hour of need, and when you need that community, and you need your village, I don't want you to be thinking about it, like why you don't have your village when you weren't a villager to begin with. Why you didn't have your crops for the winter ready when you weren't the farmer that planted the seeds in the soil, that watered all those crops until maturity. I want you to think about that and the kind of person you want to be and the kind of life you want to live. I think it's better now than later, better sooner than later. The sooner you think about your priorities in life, because you don't have to be a villager. You don't. Like, if you don't want to be a villager, that's fine. You could be the hermit, living in a cabin in the woods. But that kind of life, for that kind of life, you need to be well prepared. And you better not expect anybody to come knocking on your door with fresh crops when you don't live in a village and when you haven't planted any seeds, because you're just not gonna have those crops. You're gonna live in famine. So you either play the villager or you play the hermit that's planted their own seeds and that can take care of themselves. Though who's to say you can't have both? You could be a villager and a farmer you could have, the community, and you could have your own crops. It's really just a small price to pay. It's kind of how you're making an investment, and later down the road you get to cash in your time of need. And there's different levels of investment. It's just up to you to really do some soul searching and to realize what and how much do you want in this life. How much of that do you want? What and how much? So I really want to encourage you to keep thinking about this until you find the answer. Alright, it's been Twy. This was a super long video, but I really got into the flow. Hope you enjoyed the things that we talked about today. And if you don't hear again from me by the time the holidays roll around, I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and safety and health and happiness at home with those that you care about. And if not, if people are far away from you, call them. Let them know you're thinking of them. I promise you, it's not gonna take much of your time, and you're really gonna be sowing those seeds. And you're really gonna be, building your house in the village. So yeah, go out there and have a blessed time until the remainder of this year. You can make the most out of it. I believe in you.